Hi, this is David Baldeon, artist for the Marvel comic book Domino, and you're listening to Southern Fried Geekery.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. Hope you're all doing well, and we want to thank you for coming back again once more for what will inevitably be episode 78. As usual, I am Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
Matt Trogdon.
Jerry Smith.
I'm Lily, acting for Craig.
And I'm Sean.
And we want to say, hey, come swing out and hang out with us at our, I don't know what I just said. Swing out and hang out. There's swinging and hanging. Who knows?
Not going to be swinging out today.
Try that. You want to try that again, Paul?
Maybe. If you're not doing anything and you're not getting completely tongue-tied, come swing by our Facebook group and hang out with us there. We're always there posting stuff, having conversations. It's been busy on that thing lately. People are getting chatty, and I likes it. I likes it a lot. So come do that more. And you should follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're at SFG Podcast on both of those things. Last but certainly not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot us an email at southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. All right, now that that's all the way, how's everybody doing this week?
Good. Pretty good.
Yeah, not everybody at once. Come on, guys.
Doing pretty good.
Not the worst week we've ever had?
No.
All right. Well, so I actually had a really decent week and rolled through quite a few comics. What is it, Matt?
It was really decent. That's like, man, it was super okay.
Hey, it was compared to some of the weeks I've had this year. I will take beige. I will take it.
This week was amazingly mediocre.
Yeah, it was. I didn't die, and that's okay with me.
Well, I'll say it then. I had actually a pretty good week.
Good.
Took off from work, which is always great, and it was just at Little Rock Comic Con, and where my cosplay group took first in the group cosplay contest.
Nice. Well, this was a group effort. So tell us about what it was.
It is our take on a DC post-apocalyptic world, and this is before Last Night on Earth came out, which we were super happy when it got announced, though, because that's all we've been thinking about. We all just took DC heroes and villains that we wanted to cosplay and turned it into like a post-apocalyptic designs. Like, what would they look like after Armageddon hit and there's the survivors that are left? So we had everything from like Deadshot looking like just like steampunked out gas mask, still has a bullseye. And we had a cool idea for the villains where we would have mementos from heroes that have fallen either by us or whatever reason. So he actually had Jay Garrick's helmet.
Oh, nice.
And there's some really creative designs. I did Professor Pig, where you don't picture Pig out there armoring up and riding out in a car like Mad Max style, right? Mm-hmm. That's not his gig. So I kind of pictured more as like he's just kind of picking off the wounded, dragging them to his laboratory to turn them into the dolls, and failed experiments has turned into dinner. Nice. So I had the more, Hills Have Eyes cannibal look to him. And apparently it was good enough to win. So
it's always weird that I know people who can say the sentence, I had this kind of Hills Have Eyes cannibal thing happening, and it's not weird.
Hey, look, dude. Look, sometimes a Saturday turns into a Saturday, bro.
All right. Well, so we are going to, on this episode, what do we have for you? Let's see. Let me check my Rolodex. We have a lot of listener questions. Not all, just a lot. But, so that is what we are going to be about today. And if you don't know, if you're new to all this and you're wondering what listener questions, what is this? You have listeners? What's happening? We wonder that every time we do a podcast. But, no, so our listener questions, if you come to our Facebook group, the aforementioned Facebook group, you will find in the announcement sections a little thread that I make, once every couple of months or so, and we run down some questions. And that is the space for you to ask us anything, everything. It can be comics related, can be just geek related, it can be anything related. We've got some questions on here that don't, that aren't about comics or even necessarily geek culture. As you're gonna hear in a little bit. But before we get to that, every show, every single one, because we are a comic book podcast, we talk about a comic book. We do a little weekly roundtable and get our perspectives on something similar. But that's inevitably not the only comics we read every week, right? Like, we're readers. It's what we do. We sit down with books. So, let's lay out some short stacks for the week. Just tell me 3 little things that you read, because apparently short stacks are 3 and not 5. This is a pancake related trivia fact that I now know that I did not know before. I didn't realize that there was limitations on your short stacks. Apparently 5 is too many.
You abide the rules of short
Hey,
stacks.
that's
sir.
a regular stack, Anthony. A short stack.
What is it? Does a tall tack 7?
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, pancake
tack.
law rules all.
I was to say the Church of IHOP is stringent with their rules. So 3 things I read this week. I read and really, really enjoyed Thor number 14 by Jason Aaron, Scott Hepburn, and Matt Wilson. Now, Scott Wilson and Matt Wilson and Scott Hepburn are not the regular art team on that book. If you're following it, it's been a couple other people. I can't think of the name right now. It's making me sad. As to who is the regular artist on that, I'm sure I'll think of it later. But I also read Royal City number 1 by Jeff Lemire, and that was, insane. I should say volume 1. That book was, I'm fighting off a cold, I think, it's Arkansas, so pollen is always an existent factor, and I woke up this morning and my sinuses decided to hate me. So I'm working on Dayquil coffee and probably a little bit of booze from last night. So, we're going to figure that
And all
out.
that paint that you huffed.
And all that paint that I huffed, yes. Painting my bathroom. And then last but certainly not least, X-Men Grand Design, Extinction number 2, by the incredible cartoonist Mr. Ed Piskor. It's a retelling of essentially the X-Men canon, up until I think the Extinction Agenda. And it was fun. It's a good job.
Awesome.
Great. What'd you read this week, Sean?
Well, I got back onto a novel, so I started continuing that, and that's R.A. Salvatore's The Demon Wars, Book 3, The Demon
nice.
Apostle. Good to get back into that series that Craig bought me a long time ago. Also read, because it's subtitled, Rising of the Shield Hero, Episode 25, the finale of the season.
Wait, what?
Listen, when it comes to anime, sometimes you have to read because there's subtitles.
Read the subtitles. And I'm going to get it. It says Manga Ramen doesn't have anymore. I'm getting anime in where I can.
Because you're really pushing this.
But yeah, the season finale of Rising of the Shield Hero is this fantastic end of the season and can't wait for more.
Okay.
And finally, I read Kanto from IDW Publishing, number 1, created and written by David M. Boer. Artist is Drew Zucker with beautiful colors by Vittorio Aston. Just say good, like they said, it's inspired from Wizard of Oz and Dante's Inferno.
Nice.
And if that doesn't sell you, just read it. Read the first issue. You're going to fall in love with this.
Read it anyway.
That book's blowing up.
I've heard
for good
really
reasons.
things.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep going around the table. Our illustrious guest, Lily, what did you read this week?
Hello. This week I actually went back into my box and pulled out some beginnings of series that I haven't gotten to yet. So I read Goddess Mode number 1 by Zoe Quinn and Robbie Rodriguez. The colors in it, oh my god, so many colors. I love it. I read Blossom 666 number 2 by Colin Bunn, Matt Herms, and Laura Braga. Sorry about those names.
No, you got them all right.
We all do that.
Awesome. This is another one that I've really been enjoying. And then I read Hexwives number 5 by Ben Blacker and Mirka Andolfo. This book has been super powerful for me as it's a main character is bisexual-ish, and just seeing that character being powerful as hell is amazing. So, loving what I read this week.
Nice. Now, that was actually one of our books of the week at one point a long time ago.
Which is how I picked it up.
Is it? Nice.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to pat myself or pat ourselves on the back. Jerry, drop your short stack on us, dude.
All right, so I had Fair Lady number 3 from Image Comics, written by Brian Schumer, illustrated by Claudia Balboni, and colored by Sherry Chunkama, and lettering by David Bowman. It's been a great series. Still of the world. Instead of having like a continuing story arc, they do like solo little detective stories in each issue. And then they have a backup story that's all in prose. That's like, an extra little tidbit. The Spider-Man annual came out this week, and the entire thing was Peter Porker's Spectacular Ham, Spider Ham, and it was fantastic. There was a huge bit of creative teams on it and everything, so I don't really have time to name everybody, but the amount of characters that they came up with animal personas for was fantastic, and
Nice.
I loved every second of it. Dial H number 4, by Sam Humphries, art Joe Quinones, inks Tom Fowler, colors Jordan Gibson, and letters David Sharp. I don't normally list the person that does the letters, but in this book, the art is the biggest draw for me. Like the story is okay. If it wasn't for them changing the art every single time they changed like the heroes and the characters and everything, I don't know if I'd still be on it, but it's been amazing to see all the different styles and everything that they can come up with.
Nice.
And the changing the letters to match the styles that they put in, it's fantastic.
We should list the letters more. I mean, they're a valid and vital part of
absolutely.
the experience.
And that's my list.
Matt.
So my 3 books, Ascender #3 by Image Comics, Jeff Lemire, Dustin Nguyen. This is a great series. Of course, it's a continuation of Descender, but you do not need to have read Descender to appreciate the book or follow it. The things that happen in this book will deliver a little bit more emotionally if you know Descender. But regardless, it's great anyway.
Yeah, I actually didn't finish it. This was going to be on my list too, and I'm kind of like getting caught up as well. So it's great.
It's great. It really is good. Of course, Jeff Lemire. I mean, you can depend on him. I also read Port of Earth, number 11. It's also Image Comics. Zach Kaplan, Andrea Muti, I guess. See?
Not the only one.
That's right.
Well, if you have a problem with the way they said your name, feel free to come to the show and fight us about it.
And Jordan,
God, please don't fight me.
Yeah, Jordan Boyd. This is an interesting book. There is some action in it, but this is just a smart book. If you really appreciate a smart storyteller, I would recommend giving this one a try. However, I also read Conan the Barbarian #7. There is a lot of action in that book.
Of lots of kinds.
Yeah. It's not to say that it's not smart, but this one, of course, this is the Marvel book by Jason Aaron, Mahmoud Asrar, and Matthew Wilson. If you have any kind of passing interest in Conan the Barbarian, pick up #7, and if it doesn't punch you in the gut, go straight to the doctor and have your pulse checked.
So here's a funny thing about these current Marvel Conan books. Matt and I are both huge fans of them. And we have this ongoing, like right now with the 2 main books, the Savage Sword and the Conan the Barbarian, we have this kind of ongoing tiff about which one is the better book. Not that, I mean, they're both grade A books. So it's picking between 2 very, very good things and trying to put a stamp of one above the other. And our keep going back and forth because I've been claiming that the Barbarian was the better of the 2 books, and he thinks that the Savage Sword is the better of the 2 books. And he got all excited because on my new comic book video this week, I was having this conversation with myself saying, hey, I think I'm ready to switch teams on this. I'm ready, like maybe Savage Sword is the book for me. And then I read that Conan book and I'm like, nope.
No, Lavender's better. No, Violet's better.
Yeah.
No, Lavender.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Violet.
it's all semantics, right? But it's still like I enjoy this little almost a schoolyard rivalry between it. It's fun stuff.
This was the first Conan. I mean, I'd never read a Conan book that kind of hit me in the gut emotionally. I mean, I'm reading them like, all right, sweet Conan action. Oh, I wasn't ready.
Sounds like my first experience. I'm sorry for that. Did I mention I'm on NyQuil?
I'm not sorry.
Man, those are good. So there's and the reason we do that, there's lots of good comics going around, and every once in a while, we share our stories about what we're reading and stuff like that with each other just behind the scenes. But it's just cool to let maybe the folks at home are looking for a new book that we don't cover on the show per se, but maybe they find that in Short Stack. So I like it. Let's us keep up with what one another's reading, which is fun because that drives conversation. And conversation is cool.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about a book that we read this week for the roundtable. It almost seems, and this was an accident, but apparently we're developing a habit. And our habit is apparently to review the DC Black Label book of the week. Because this is the second week in a row we're going to do so. And the roundtable book this week is none other than Batman Damned by Mr. Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. And this is number 3 of the 3-part series. Before we really get into it, what we normally do, our custom, since we're forming habits and whatnot, is to kind of go around the table and just give a very brief meh, yay, nay, what did you think about the book? So I guess we'll start with Matt. Kick us off on this one. What you think?
I finished this book. My feelings were, okay. And that's really it. I didn't have any ups. I didn't have any downs. had a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
But I was agnostic to this book.
Okay.
Not having read the first 2 issues of this, I thought it was interesting. Love me some Dead Man.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. Kind of sad that he wasn't in it more. Was he in the first 2 issues more?
Yes.
Okay. Might go back read just for Dead Man, even though Batman's in it. You know. But I thought it was a pretty good story. I mean, not having read the first 2 issues, I thought it was a decent issue just coming in on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't read a whole lot of Batman, so I borrowed these books from Craig last night to read them. And I had a lot of question marks. That's pretty much just kind of where I was. Is this like the end?
This is it. Yeah.
Okay, that changes my opinion a little bit more. Meh.
Okay. Sean.
I haven't read the second book only because I didn't get my hands on the first issue.
Yeah.
But it's also been over a year, I think, since the second issue came out.
I don't think
Maybe
not quite.
it feels like it's been a
It's been a
while.
long time.
Yeah, maybe
And
more than
I-
6 months.
Yeah.
And I should have went back and read the second one, but honestly, it's still okay. Like it's definitely a dark and I think intentionally kind of confusing ending. But I mean, the art alone was worth the admission. So
For sure.
Oh yeah, the art was beautiful.
I leaned.
Sorry, so I was going to say, on the subject of did anybody read the lies they told us on the back?
Yes.
no, I didn't.
Anybody else take note of that?
Oh,
Batman Damned is a bi-monthly
Oh, I did see that.
supernatural horror story. Those are lies, DC Comics.
That's 100% a lie.
Those are lies.
They didn't even. They didn't. They didn't,
definitely.
they didn't even get 3 words in there without lying.
Yeah.
That is definitely the title of this episode. Those are lies, DC Comics. Yeah, that's stupid. Why? Like, you know better. Like, why put that on there? Anyway, so what is this book about? Let's talk about this book for a second. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I kind of want to go back and see if there's a lie on the back of that Superman issue too.
Oh, there's a lie on the front. Remember when it said year 1? Yeah, it's right in the title.
yeah. Only. Oh, that book. Guys, that book only leads to bad places.
Yeah.
That is like, we're going to have a special Superman Year 1 file for things.
Anybody got any Tums?
Right?
That's our low bar right there. So whenever we,
Sadly it is. But that is not this book. So this book, I aired more towards the thumbs up than the thumbs down in it. I read it and I was like, as I was reading through, I was like, oh yeah, they had problems. They had problems with this, and they did. So editorial, as Craig reminded me the other day, editorial turned down 4 different versions of this third issue and sent it back and said, no, this isn't going to work. You have to do something else. And I think that showed that came through as I was reading this third issue, having read both of the other ones and kind of kept up with the story. There's a lot of loose threads that aren't picked up in this, but still, like Sean said, Lieber Hermo's art is great. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful style that we are lucky to get to see in the pages of comic books, because his talent could very easily equate to a high art, quote unquote. Well, no, yeah, like that art is subjective, but when I say the hoity-toity, is this art kind of thing, his talent, he could definitely live in that world, and we're privileged to have him in comics, but still with the storytelling, you could tell they ran into problems, which is not a bad thing per se. It's just a thing. Somewhere in between like 75-degree thumbs up, towards, at least I didn't end throwing my book against the wall, like I may have done last week.
Backhanded compliment.
Right. So this story picks up, not where actually issue 2 left off. In a way it does. Bruce, he is trapped. He has been buried alive. He's in a coffin. Trying to scratch and claw his way out. The overarching story with this, for those of you who are at home or who haven't read the first 2 issues, you might be kind of confused. The Joker has been shot, and everybody kind of, arguably killed. Everybody kind of thinks Bat does. Bruce doesn't know if he did or didn't. I think, we reviewed this for a Book of the Week, didn't we, at one point?
Like I said, part 1 was a long time ago.
Yeah, so scroll back if you're curious to know what we thought about issue 1. Scroll back in our catalog and check it out. But as he's trying to get out, he unsuccessfully, the boards start creaking. Some weird stuff starts happening. The earth is shifting, and one Mr. Swamp Thing decides to push him out of the ground, out of the swampy ground, and rescue him in a sense. And he wakes up in this graveyard, unsurprisingly, because he was in a grave. But and you really don't get any good context of how he got there. But he's not alone. John Constantine is also there waiting on him. And John Constantine has been the kind of the narrative voice throughout this whole thing. He's kind of the thread that the story is more of a Constantine story, than necessarily a Batman story, except for the fact that you're dealing with some Batman tropes.
Kind of appeals to me.
Yeah. And so as they're sitting there discussing, what the fuck is going on and why essentially all the creepy crawly and dark magic things are there and surrounding Batman, a creepy crawly and dark magic thing emerges from the woods. And she is the witch. She kind of has this design, similar to the witch in the Suicide Squad movie that we don't like watching.
Yeah. I honestly thought it was the Enchantress at first.
It may very well be.
I
sure
assumed it was Enchantress.
well.
I don't know that they ever named her by
Yeah, I
name,
don't
but
think
that's
they
definitely
did.
the gist that I took from it, that it was her. And she has been kind of an afterthought through this whole series. She's been showing up and going away and showing up and going away. And we don't really know, unless I just missed it in the other two issues, there's not a lot of motivation for it. She's just kind of there, and maybe that's a commentary of what just kind of happens in Batman's world, where things just kind of happen around him for some reason. We don't know why, because he's Batman. But she animates kind of these gothic statues that are hanging out, right? Very Doctor Who.
Yeah, some weeping
That's what
angels.
I was like.
Yeah.
Did anyone else think it was
Yes.
a weeping angel? Because I almost had nightmares from that.
I'm sure Craig did.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's meant to give us that. It's meant to give us that tether. It's a fun little nod, right? Like, and surely they know that. I would assume so. And it acted the same way. But they overcome it. There's a battle. You don't get Swamp Thing in a graveyard and him not win because he's goddamn Swamp Thing.
He is fucking huge too. Right?
He is.
Yeah.
The way he's
I love
drawn
him.
in this is just gorgeous. So they do their thing. They fight. They overcome it. And then Bats and this kind of trio, right? Like Bat, Swamp Thing, and John Constantine are kind of sorting things out. Batman is going through some psychological processes, so to speak. And you're not really sure how much of this is real. Like you start to get like the edges are blurred. Like what is actually happening? Where are we at? What's going on? Because there are so many questions. There's so much left unsaid, both in the art and the word, that there is almost this uncanny, otherworldly way that the story is working, that lends a psychological bent to it. And they go into this flashback, and you do the thing that you have to do in a Batman book, which is apparently remind you that his parents got shot in an alley, which is...
They did?
Yeah,
I
right.
don't think they've ever covered that.
Yeah, no, like once or twice, it's very, very, very not well-known fact that Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered in an alley.
Oh, I thought the flashback was that they saw Zorro.
Well, I mean, at least they got that right. I will say
Right.
that. Like, that's always a fun nod. But things are magic-y, right? Like, there is magic afoot. And if you're going to have magic in a Batman book or a DC book, especially when Constantine's involved, you got to go see Zatanna. So they do. They walk up, they see Zatanna. She is kind of helping them diagnose what's going on. They're doing a little bit of a seance. Doesn't necessarily work, I don't feel, per se. They, if anything, make matters worse for Bruce, for whatever's going in his head. Like, they trigger something. And there's a bit of, like, this mental breaking point where you see Bats just, like, I almost let go. Like, the visage is almost literally him giving up the ghost. And it goes kind of, when this happens, it goes into this hard memory where the witch is there and she's the cause of his childhood trauma and she's reliving it with him, making matters worse, which is, again, not something we haven't seen before. There's a little bit of a derivative aspect to this storyline. Not so much that it's not well told on the page, and it fits within the context of what they're trying to do, like reliving that trauma. Like lots of villains do that, right? But it's nothing we've seen that's just astronomically new. As they go on through the book, there's a lot of jumping around, giving and taking. There's this masked, hooded figure that I personally interpret to be the Spectre. I don't know if you guys have caught that. He's kind of this person who walks through the morgue. And at the end of the story, it all culminates kind of where it began, back on that bridge where the Joker died. Bats, is, at least the way I interpreted it, throws himself off the bridge and emerges from the water as the Joker. It's what I got out of it.
I thought he died on the bridge and let the Joker fall.
That's what it is.
I didn't catch that. If Batman did throw himself off the bridge, I didn't catch that.
I didn't get that out of it.
To me, it looked like it was Batman like falling into the water, and then from issue 1 where we had the hand grabbing at his foot, I was thinking that was the Joker dragging him back down, and then Joker emerged from the water.
Very, very possibly. So
that's what I got.
I'm trying to read, when I read this book, I'm trying to read some more. I think maybe I'm trying to read too much into it because there's so many unleft threads, to where like it's this commentary on the duality of the book, or of the duality of Batman and the Joker, to where you kind of see them in the place there. It's now that I go back and look at it, the scene is them on the bridge, and he's like reaching for the Joker, almost the very Heath Ledger like. Now looking back on it now, maybe figuring this out a little bit more. Go ahead, Jay.
It was a really interesting scene, and I kind of like how it played out because it was, he knew that he got, stabbed lethally and he was going to die. So his whole like moral dilemma was like, I need to, save the Joker is his first thought. But then he's like, well, I'm going to fucking bite it. So I can't let this madman run loose. So he just lets him go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool.
No, I appreciated that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like with that whole ending, and then like everything that's gone on, and then leading to the end. To me, it almost felt like after the lethal stabbing, as he's dying, that's where all this takes place. With all the supernatural stuff. It's just kind of going through the end of his life, and he like lets the Joker go. Like we're both kind of die, but Joker ended up living anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they were trying to get across.
Well,
I'm not sure. God, I haven't even read the first issue.
Well, the first issue starts out, they find Joker's body.
Yeah.
I didn't get this
because it did say like at the end, let the Joker live.
Yeah.
So also, could you maybe read it to where he was like, that was his last wish to the supernatural for some reason? Like I said, I think it's supposed to be like, I didn't know about the editorial issues, but I think they were already kind of wanting to write a supernatural kind of trippy story anyway. So, and it just didn't all the way come together, but I guess you can, like I said, not horrible, but I think it was very confusing, if not intentionally, maybe not quite hit all the marks.
And so, and here's why I went to the question of whether or not Bats threw himself off, and this whole thing was a metaphor for him killing himself. In the beginning, you find the Joker's body, right? Like in issue 1. On the last 2 pages of this book, Bats is in a morgue with that hooded figure that, like I said, the way he's talking about judgment, I actually think is the Spectre.
Okay.
That we've seen, like, it's very, like, urbanly drawn. So, it's a dude, he's always got a shadow, he's always got his hood on. There's a green tint to him whenever he's drawn. And they're in this morgue and they open the door and, like, the visage of Batman is just kind of sucked into the cooler.
Right.
Where the body was. Yeah. And so that was where I was like, oh, like, we had his body. Now, like, Batman's getting, like, the Joker's body was there. We thought we had it. Now Batman's in the cooler with him. Like, this whole thing is maybe a metaphor for how they're the same person, and you flip the page, and that's when you get the scene of the Joker walking out of the river, which was so that to me is like which body is real, which body is the Joker's, and yeah, that's where I was like, okay, they ran into problems because it's not a cohesive story. It's not necessarily a story per se. It's maybe a collection of really, really fun ideas laced into one beautifully painted book.
My main question was what happened with Harley Quinn.
Yeah, because
she was the focus of issue 2 and just disappeared.
Yeah, goes away, and that's where I wonder if whatever they did, what we're going to do, that got this book sent back, involved her in some way, and they just couldn't figure anything out to do with her, so they just left that thread undone.
Azzarello could have done something with Harley Quinn. The editorial was like, nope, Harley Quinn is too big for us. You can't do this. Azzarello has got a history of doing funny things with big characters.
Right.
Like Bat Dick.
Go back his addition to the Killing Joke animated movie.
Oh yeah,
That's the best example I can think of.
I still haven't watched that, but I heard.
Oh,
about
he was responsible for that?
He is responsible for the first 20 minutes of that movie. That is Brian Azzarello.
Hate just glazed over Sean's face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. In the same token, there's been some characters pop up, not just Harley Quinn. There's been some characters pop up in the other two issues that just go away. I didn't understand the use of Dead Man here, other than maybe like a mail, like he's just email.
Yeah.
He's a mail delivery. Like he's delivering messages like when it's convenient. He's more of a shoehorn for the plot than he is a character.
This is very weird, but I really like that design of him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
cool.
his suit was all like muscle and
It's
stuff
cool.
like that.
Yeah.
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 Really
Now, there's no knocking the art in this book.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Definitely.
dynamite. It was dynamite.
Yeah, no, visually it's stunning. The only thing I will say about the art. So, have you guys read much of Lee Berhermo's? I think I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Lee Berhermo's books. Have y'all read a lot that he's done?
This is the first and apparently the beginning of the Killing Joke is all I really know from him.
Okay.
No.
So he had a book from Vertigo called Suiciders.
I
Sorry.
get the name flip.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was the artist on Suiciders.
art.
You get an even keel. So when I look at art, even what I consider to be great art like this, I kind of compare it not against other artists, but against what that artist has done before. While this is gorgeous, it's kind of standard Lee Berhermo. He's not pushing himself in this book when you look at like the other art that he's done. So there's not been any as far as visual growth from his work, but I don't know that there needs to be. Cause like I said, obviously it's gorgeous even standing on its own, but from the history that I have with him, he's not pushing the envelope with his art. He's just like, I can do this. This is a style I've maybe to arguably say mastered. And I'm just going to just do this, and do this, hammering home. And there's not been any, you look at his brush strokes that you can see, you look at his color palette, there's not been a lot of like forward momentum. And again, I don't know that there needs to be. It was just an interesting thing when I was reading it, as blown away as I should have been by this book. I was like, no, it's Bermejo. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of standard work by him. And that was, it didn't diminish my appreciation of it. It was just, like I said, a footnote. Because footnotes are fun.
I don't know that anyone has ever made that statement before.
Yeah, can we just stop the podcast here?
Like, everybody getting off.
I mean, I guess on a lighter note, we can only go up from that.
Well, no, and okay, so
Footnotes are fun.
Footnotes are fun.
let me elaborate on that. So we live in a world that's very, like people assume things are black and white. Like if you go to a movie and somebody's like, "Oh, did you love this movie or did you hate this movie?" It's just like, "Oh no, I was entertained," and it's okay to be entertained. So, and that's why I say, like, it wasn't a plus or a negative for me. It was just literally a footnote. It's a thing I noticed. So it's something, because in a world where people are always expecting you to like plant your flag, like this is the best thing ever, or this is the worst thing ever. Sometimes things are just enjoyable, and that's okay. They don't have to be, home runs. They can, hell, you get a single, you're on base. You know what I mean? To use a baseball metaphor.
We don't appreciate those on this show, sir.
Bats and balls. We're talking about it.
We saw that in the first.
That's
section,
how
sir.
that's how this started off. So
Which I
yeah,
will say, after going back and reading issue 1, not as crazy as I was thinking it was going to be with just the dick. I thought it was going to be like some spectacular thing that was going to blow my mind because of how everyone was talking about, and I'm like, it's just
oftentimes penises are disappointing.
Yes, that's it. I was disappointed. Thank you.
I don't like you talking about Batman this way.
I thought Batman was a glee. I thought it was very respectfully drawn.
It was a classy.
It was a silhouette. The shadows were there. It was respectable. In fact, we called we did. So
Man, the shading on that though.
The issue that we covered that we named the Respectable Wayne Wang.
Yep.
So
Yes,
because we're 5. So all around, yeah, I will say that like as a collected edition, I think this. I have not been big on DC's Black Label since they came out. Yeah. Because this book took forever. You were being sarcastic.
Yes, I was.
Sorry. Again, NyQuil is still kicking in strong. it was lackluster to me. This at least steered me back to where I might be interested in going back. Because look, last week destroyed any faith I had. The moving over of
in
books.
Humanity.
No,
in
just
Black
in
Label, right?
just in their ability editorially to give me quality, and it's not even a diss on Frank and Junior. But
Those are the only two things that they've done for Black Label so far, right?
Actually, something I was going to bring up, actually. I believe it's coming out this week.
Mm-hmm.
They worked together before on a book called Joker, which was a big influence, supposedly a big influence on the Heath Ledger portrayal.
That's the reason Heath Ledger looked the way he did, because of that book.
It's been hardbound only. They're about to release a paperback on the Black Label, I think this week for like $12.
oh, nice.
So I'm scooping it up.
Has anybody read that?
No, I
I've
hear
read it.
great things.
It's great.
And it's the same team. So.
That is very well done.
Right.
Yeah.
And even though it wasn't originally Black Label, they're going to put it under that with a softbound version for a lot cheaper. So I'm probably going to be scooping that up.
I hope the shop ordered enough of them because I want that.
Yeah.
I want a more cohesive story by this team because I do think that editorial affected the quality of the product, and I think that's the opposite of what, like, they shouldn't have necessarily worried about this series. Maybe editorial for Black Label should have leaned over and checked the script out to Superman Year One, and that would have been a more.
In their eyes, clearly they can yell at them and not Frank Miller, though.
Apparently so. But this kind of righted that ship for me. Like, I now at least I'm interested again in what Black Label might produce. I'm not interested in seeing books like All-Star Superman get a Black Label tag because I don't understand that.
Right.
I also think it's odd that they cancel all their imprints one week and then start another one up the next. Like, that's weird to me. So why didn't you just let Sean Murphy have like his own Murphyverse and not move him in the Black Label stuff?
Right.
Because now his stuff is like White Knight is considered a Black Label book.
They're trying to prop up the Black Label. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, like essentially, I mean, maybe they did read Superman Year One and they're like, oh shit, we got to
We gotta put something in this label quick.
Yeah. Maybe so. I don't know. Again, all around, I think this is it's a respectable offering. You would do well to have it just to check it out. I do think, as far as trying to interpret a book, this book is a good character study. Like, if you want a book that is so open ended, it reminds me a little bit of like the Grant Morrison mindset, to where you just put a bunch of weird in the book and let other people play with it later. This is a good book for that. It's a good book to maybe read it, and if you want to stoke up your own creative juices, maybe you write your own thing coming out of this. Really gets
creative juices.
Yeah, gets the blood flowing. Bats, balls, and juices. Fun times. I'm on the struggle bus this morning, guys.
This is when things get a little blue.
We miss Craig. Our brother Craig had to work, so we miss him. But we got Lily.
Hi.
And she's
That's
awesome.
me.
And Lily, this is funny because the first show that Matt was on was if I'm not mistaken, it was a listener question episode.
It was.
Yeah.
And this is now your second show,
Yes.
but this is your first listener question episode. So, are you excited about this?
I am.
Does
When Craig offered it to me, I was kind of a little hesitant because I'm like, I probably don't know a lot of answers. And then I saw the questions and I'm like, I can answer these.
Yeah.
So that was exciting.
That we have some really cool listeners, and you're one of them most of the time. And that's how other than, look, I mean, there's a little bit of nepotism involved, but that's how I think we all have become better friends is through our Facebook. Like, I don't think I knew you other than maybe meeting you once or twice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Before the Facebook group, and now we're like besties.
Yeah, so it was weird the first time I was on here because I'm like, I know everyone, but they have no idea who I am. And that's great.
Yeah, and that's what I love about our little Facebook group. Because you can build those relationships and those friendships there. It's fun times. And that's what we want. We want to build the community. So let's get into some of those listener questions, and we'll mosey on through them. Our first one, which was a really good one. I really liked this one. It came from, again, nepotism. So our illustrious co-host Jerry, his lady friend, who is the amazing Stephanie Straw, she apparently had a list of questions saved up, and she salted the earth with them.
A light novel,
like
short prose full.
You know, in war movies where they decide to just like bury a line in bombs, like they just bomb the tree line. That's what Stephanie did. She came on there guns a-blazing, and we have a couple of hers. We still have not been able to get all of them because it would just be the Stephanie Straw Power Hour, and maybe that's what she was secretly trying to happen, being dubious.
Noble effort. Though.
That
Noble
only
effort.
happens behind closed doors.
Oh,
Hey-o.
hello! I didn't make that joke, Stephanie.
But I approve of it.
Stephanie, I didn't do that. You
Power hour, even.
That's impressive.
So many jokes. She asks, what comic book character would you hire to be your personal chef, assuming anyone you asked would accept the offer? This is a cool question. I never think about this. Who cooks in comics? We'll start off with Matt.
Mine would be Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Yeah. Greek food.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Not a bad choice.
Yeah.
And then when she asks you how it was, she's supposed to lasso on you so you can't lie about the meal.
Yeah. It's true.
Oh, no.
That's
Never
that's
mind.
how hate
Never
happens.
No, she's gonna
Change my mind.
everything she delivers is gonna be right on.
I bet she does make a nice euro.
And the food.
And you're damn right.
Red Sonja's going to get pissed.
Well, so I struggled with this, but I'd just be eating a lot of mutton.
That's true.
And I'm like, well, Mediterranean food.
Yeah.
Jerry. In the Jerry comic, who is preparing your meals?
I was thinking, like, who do I think would be a great chef? And then I was like, well, I mean, I like to eat, so let's just get somebody that can just make as much food as I want, whatever I want. So I picked Molecule Man.
Okay.
So he can just materialize food.
Nice. Respect.
Yeah.
Good.
First 5 things he would
legitimately.
make would be what?
Oh, God. I don't even know. I love food that
Margarita,
much.
margarita, taco, margarita.
Quesadilla.
Case, my bad. It's just another form of taco. Man. It's all the same.
Jesus. There's so many one-liners in this episode, I don't know what to do with.
He can make anything I want. I'll have 5 tacos.
Let me get some white bread and some mayonnaise. Yeah. Lily, in the graphic novel that is your life as a comic book, who is cooking your meals?
So I'm actually really glad I came up with a second person because I originally said Wonder Woman. So it's like she's ripped, so she probably eats like really healthy, and I just she's hot, so I want to look like that. And so I'm glad I picked Sabrina at the end because a witch can conjure anything.
It's true.
And I can have all the margaritas and all the macaroni I want at the same time. Be great.
Margaritas and macaroni.
We kind of had that same thought there. Like, yeah, let's just conjure some stuff.
Yeah.
Up.
Who puts margaritas and macaroni together?
Sabrina.
Do you not?
The classiest
You
of
are
people.
not living correctly.
You don't
don't.
put them together. You don't put them inside your like. What?
You pour it all over the macaroni.
Fucking monster. Terrible. Your macaroni is. I can't even talk right now. This is what you've done to me, Caleb.
Rendered you silent. We should do this more often.
I'm broken and dead.
Sean,
inside.
who's cooking your meals in comic book world?
My choice for my personal chef would be Ikumi Mito from Food Wars.
Nice.
She is like the heir to like the highest level of like meat manufacturer in all of Japan. So she knows how to cook that. She specializes in what's called don, which are basically like working class ramen bowls. Mm-hmm. And she prefers to cook in a bikini top, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking
No,
about.
I've read it, yeah.
I didn't even. My mind didn't even go to manga and everything, and
That's because they don't let us talk about it anymore on the show.
There's an entire.
I'm joking.
Invite you to talk about it all the time.
There's the entire universe of Toriko, where the entire like Food Wars is all about.
So you're just
food.
slacking because Caleb's right. You're just slacking, Jerry.
Yeah, pretty much. I said Alfred Pennyworth. That look, everything you need in life, be it a good meal or a clean abode, your bills handled, stitched up, the love of a father, cucumber sandwiches, he can provide.
I would say all you get is cucumber sandwiches.
He
like,
can
That was a very mayonnaise on bread answer.
No, I don't. His cucumber sandwiches are the things of legend, sir. I'm just saying, either him or Jarvis. either one of those. Like you're talking about, I mean, he cooks for the Justice League. He's fucking Alfred. He was also a Special Forces UAF officer. Is that what is it? UAF, whatever the badasses from England are. Yeah. SAF. That's what they are. He was one of those guys. So, I'm just saying, the dude's got secret talents. Imagine what he can do with a turkey. Give me that shit. It's moist turkey. And he's got it.
Never not wanted moist turkey so much in my life.
like thinking of Molecule Man making food. Like, do you think it's a thing where it just like, looks really good, but it tastes like absolute garbage? Like you can't, synthesize good cooking. Yeah, damn,
or everything.
It all tastes like tofu.
Yeah,
too late now.
No,
you're in.
All right. What has been, this is an interesting one, comes from our brother Bill Zanowitz. What has been your biggest pop culture about face? Is there a movie, a television show, album, comic, whatever, anything, that you once really, really liked and now you're kind of embarrassed by? Now, this is the opposite of a question he gave us, I think, 2 listener question episodes ago, where it was, what thing did you initially hate or dislike, have an extreme aversion to, and then you went back and decided you loved it? So I like this. Way to think about it. I will go first. So because I'm not really sure if this counts. I was a huge Kevin Spacey fan back in the day. As an actor, I think he's an incredible talent. Like Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, The Life of David Gale, American Beauty, House of Cards, his more contemporary work. He's an incredible actor. But apparently he's a piece of shit. He likes to, he was actually just in the news again like 2 days ago, because he fondled a busboy.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah. Like the dude has got massive problems. It was kind of understated throughout Hollywood. It was the secret that, like 50% of the people talked about, because if I know it here in Arkansas, it's not exactly a well-kept secret. Yeah. But the dude likes to, diddle around with underage boys, at least. And that's terrible, obviously. And then when he was called on it, he came out, he tried to pull this is just homophobic, I'm actually just gay, and you don't like that card.
Right.
And no, you don't get to blame the gay community for you being a closeted pedophile most of your career. So I'm kind of embarrassed. Like I have all of those films. I touted his movies. And now I'm kind of embarrassed by that, because I'm like, oh yeah, like I was loving this dude's craft and the art that he gave us. At the same time, he was hurting people and abusing people and, blaming the gay community, like making us a scapegoat for it. So that's my thing I used to really be into, but now I'm soured upon. I don't watch, I'll still go back and watch like Life of David Gale every once in a while. Because it's got a good message about my personal views on the death penalty. It's a good show, but just not spending any more money on his stuff. So I don't know if that technically counts, but that's what I'm going with.
Yep.
So, Sean, we'll bounce it back to you.
Due to my loyalty and love of New Mutants in the 90s, I was the biggest Rob Liefeld supporter. Yelled like the man, he is the top artist. And I've had to break many bad habits, because my copy of New Mutants 98 that I've had since it got published is in the condition it is because I've drawn out of it so much.
Yeah.
And I've had to break a lot of bad habits that he has in my own drawing to get away from that. So, yeah, I'm no longer the Liefeld fan.
That's fine.
I know, like, I'm not ashamed of much of like what I like. I still like a lot of stuff I've always liked. So I had to kind of dig, and outside of going to kind of similar to you with Spacey, I almost brought up the Rurouni Kenshin anime and manga creator getting busted with all that child pornography. Yeah. But I decided to go with Liefeld. Just like, it's not a horrible thing I'm ashamed of. It's just like, yeah, I used to try to draw just like him, and I had to break a lot of those habits. I still fight to this day.
It was very of its time.
Yeah, it was.
So to say.
That's the closest I got.
I want to applaud Sean's bravery for his...
Thank you, Matt.
That was just, do we need to have a moment? Right. Matt, we'll zigzag over to you. What thing did you once love that you are now keeping secret?
So I struggled with the Liefeld work as well. Mm-hmm. But I'll say that the whole 90s Image launch, when it came out, I was like, oh my gosh, they're unfiltered. They can create whatever they want. Wildcats is awesome. Brigade rocks. So much ass kicking.
Profit.
And I've got, Profit. Oh, man. Profit.
Can we just talk about this again? Why are we ashamed of this? I'm just like...
I mean, Savage Dragon is still amazing.
Yeah. Savage Dragon Savage Dragon is, I think, the most readable if you go back and read the initial launch. That and Spawn. The initial Spawn.
Definitely those two.
But once you get into, I mean, Jim Lee, I'm sorry. Jim Lee's art is great, but his writing,
it's not.
Whoo, boy, is it painful. And I've made myself go back and revisit those a few times over the years. And I'm like, Jesus, I was a stupid kid.
But that appealed to those, like you said, it's the stupid kids. But those books, they 100% appealed to those kids.
Yeah.
Like, they were so energetic, so lively, and we'd never seen anything like them.
Yeah, the art, and it is. I mean, if you go back and look at that whole group of guys, I mean, the art was so dynamic. More dynamic than anything we'd ever had in the history of comics. So it got your attention. That's really what it did, is it really got your attention, because you just, like, every time you turn the page, you're like, what am I going to see next? But the material, as far as a story goes, oh boy, they do not hold up.
Yeah. Which is why you're ashamed of them now.
Correct. Yeah. But I make myself keep them.
Right.
I mean, it's
punishment.
like, it's
never forget.
It's like
constant reminder.
It's the monk hitting himself with the whip. It's like, you will learn from this, Matt Trogdon.
I will say my favorite thing about, because y'all both kind of listed these things, I don't particularly, it's not my style. I don't derive much pleasure from it, but I will say that it's neat seeing the cartoonists that did. And it's neat seeing them build off of that, like guys like Tom Scioli and American Barbarian. That's very Liefeld-esque. You can see, like, as far as his line goes, Michel Fife, kind of the same. And I love those guys. So it's interesting to me. Like, I don't like the prototype, but I definitely like this version of that artistic styling, what it's evolved to.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no denying the influence of that 90s art style.
Yeah,
definitely has molded the artists of today, for sure.
And not everybody can be Mark Silvestri. I mean, he is a god among men. You shut your whore mouth.
I like Cyberforce.
Get out. Lily, drop some on us.
All right.
What are you ashamed of?
Mine is a TV show.
Okay.
It's The Walking Dead.
Okay.
When it first came out, those first couple of seasons, I was die hard for it. It was my thing. I did not miss it. I would, like, cancel plans with friends if they tried to schedule something when it came out. It's like, this is my thing. And then it just kind of kept repeating.
The Walking Dead happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I hopped off before Glenn's death.
Nice.
Like, that's how long I've been off it, and I keep seeing it. And I'm like, my mom still watches it. So I'm like, I kind of hear about it. And I'm like, I can't go back to it. Just can't do it.
Not something you can revisit?
No.
You just lost that magic?
Yeah.
Have you tried to watch any of the spinoffs?
I have a little bit.
Yeah.
It kind of killed something in me.
Yeah.
I think it's like I hear about it through people and I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting, but it's just never enough to really bring me back to it.
Yeah, when I hear about it, it's like, oh, that story again.
Yes.
Okay. We've been there. Let me tell you how it ends.
Yeah.
That was on my short list too.
Yeah.
Because I think they made it to the prison and then I just kind of like,
Womp, womp, womp.
yeah. Yes, mine honestly would probably be being really big into anime, my early 20s, late teens or whatever. And I was only into a certain tone of anime. And it was always the super serious, super realistic shows. I thought anything else that was ridiculous or had, comedy and stuff in it was just not for me, like, at all. Yeah, I know.
What version of Jerry is that?
Yeah, and
it's a deep emo period.
I'm pretty sure then I discovered One Piece and everything changed.
That'll do it.
So
every time.
Yeah, it was a dark time in my life.
That's Apocalypse Jerry, right there.
Right?
It's the worst version of you I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
That's somewhat fascinating.
Can you give us a couple examples?
I tried thinking of them off the top of my head just now, and I really I can think of the shows that I watched, but I can't think of the names of them off the top of my head. Yeah, okay. But yeah, and a lot of it was just only feudal Japan samurai stuff, So yeah,
Okay, I'm trying to imagine this weird version.
So like you're just watching Ninja Scroll repeatedly over and over, just blood, guts, tits, and ass.
Like when I think of like 22-year-old Jerry, I just imagine you in like some overalls sitting on the floor, like watching fucking Power Rangers or some shit. Like I can't imagine a world where you just don't like the silly sticky stuff.
Yeah, it happened.
Hey, I learned something new about you every day.
The overalls happened?
And in my brain there were like the little red ones, like my buddy,
Like corduroy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overalls, no shirt.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, he had a shirt.
I basically looked like Chucky, like one of the what was it? What's that doll called?
My
It's
buddy.
my little buddy.
Yeah, my little buddy. Yeah.
with no shirt.
Murder dolls, which is a good band, by the way. Do you all think that the MCU will do another 10-year run of movies to build a giant conclusion like they just did, or will they just do smaller scale movies with thematic ties from one another? This question comes from Mr. Mike Del Vecchio. I'm going to bounce this over to Lily first. I want your opinion on this.
I have thoughts about this.
Tell me your thoughts.
I think they will do another kind of 10-year run. I don't know that anytime soon they're going to stop.
Yeah.
Because why would you? I don't know that it's going to be as massive as it is. I don't know that the crowd is going to stay onto it as hard as we have been. Because everyone now knows, oh, it's 10 years. That's a lot. So I think it might kind of be like some smaller characters or more people brought in that the general population isn't familiar with already, at least somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
So yes and no. It's kind of my thoughts. I think it'll connect. I think there will be another big conclusion. I just don't know that it's going to be as massive as we've seen.
Right. Matt?
So I think the quality. Well, I think they're going to continue to do these type of build-up runs because they made just a satanic amount of money. So that's
a new unit of measurement.
I'll take it.
So that's going to drive their behavior. I don't think they're going to get something like a 10-year run unless they do X-Men correctly. I think that's if they relaunch the X-Men, which they inevitably will do. That I think is the property that can drive a long-term run more than anything else. They're going to have it. I don't think it's as likely that they're going to have the kind of emotional impact that people have had with Captain America and Iron Man on the screen. It's less likely you're going to get that. But we're going to see the same kind of thing out of them because of what it generated.
Are we going to trust an X-Men reboot?
I trust what the MCU will do.
Yeah.
They've earned my trust. That's what I have to get out of bed every morning. That's what I have to tell myself.
All right.
Yeah. I think they're going to continue the build up. I don't think it's going to go 10 years again. I think because this initial one was setting up the entire universe, got all the iconic characters, there's a lot more. I think we're going to continue to get new characters to build upon, but I don't think we're going to wait 10 years for another Infinity Gauntlet, whatever the next big bad's going to be. But I think they're going to do shorter build up. I think is what's coming from the next one.
And that's I'm right there with you on that. Like we're not gonna wait 10 years to get our next Thanos movie, next 2-parter saga or whatever. I do think that they have the potential to throw in a lot more creative characters into it for sure. Now that they've got people hooked in, and it seems like people are becoming more the obscure characters are becoming more of a norm for people to be fans of and everything.
Right.
And I also, with the little series and shows and shorts and stuff that they're going to be doing, I definitely see them in the future with all their streaming services, tying more of that in to the larger scope so they can tell more, simpler stories in those and then, hook it into the grand scale of things. So
I think Marvel has proven themselves to be, for better or worse, slaves to formula. Sorry, you're good. They've shown us over and over again that they have a formula. They know it works for them. They are going to they're perfecting it as they go along, especially under the capable hands of Kevin Feige. So yeah, are they going to build up another 10-year run? Yeah, I think that we're just at a mark where we just had a conclusion happen after a decade, but it built on smaller increments, right? So I think I don't know that I don't know that you can say that they're going to do another 10-year block that is its own thing. I think the next 4 years are going to build off of what we see now. I think that 4 years after that, it's going to build up. Now, are they going to build towards another big villain the way that they've done with Thanos? Probably. I mean, yeah. Especially now that they've got other IPs. They've got the other big Marvel IPs that they didn't have before. When they started making, number one, when they did Iron Man, they didn't even have a studio. It was done, it was an experiment to see if it would work, and it did. And at that time, even when Marvel kicked off, I want to say Captain America, the First Avenger was the first in-house Marvel studio movie. The Incredible Hulk was done by Universal. I forget if Iron Man was Universal or who that was, but at that point when they brought it in-house. So they're just going to keep building on this thing. Like I said, in Iron Man, they didn't know that they were doing Thanos. They started figuring it out after the third Captain America, or the first Captain America film. So, yeah, no, I think they're absolutely going to do this thing where they just continue to build on itself, and they have the ability to do that because of the broad swath, the big catalog. We're already starting to see this old guard getting replaced with younger actors who can do longer movies. We'll see that with Stature, Ant-Man's daughter. We'll see that with Iron Lad, if that's what they decide to do. We can do Wiccan and Hulkling spinning out of the Scarlet Witch. You can have for a while Falcon will be Captain America, but then you can do the Patriot. So you can these are legacy characters that they have the ability and the back matter to extend into. I mean, hell, we're thinking another 10-year arc. It would not surprise me if somewhere deep in the heart of the Mouse's dungeon that they have a 60-year plan.
That doesn't just whipping every day.
Yeah,
they're like I said. Not only do we have such legacy characters to build upon, they're listening to fans. You know, they're listening to demands. Except Jerry, because we're never getting Beta Ray Bill. But recently there was that tweet about Moon Knight, right?
Yeah.
Like so, and that's not no offense to the fans, but it's he's not a big character, but they're listening. So
the Moon Knight
was a comic book.
Yeah,
thing.
was a comic book thing. Yeah,
That
was Jason Aaron saying he's putting it in the Avengers. But
I
that's
wish,
fine.
though.
But
they need to do it.
I thought that was a movie deal or a television.
No, but I mean, yeah, they are But
they do listen though.
People in the Marvel offices have been asking the comic book people, "Where's Moon Knight?" I mean, we had a great Jeff Lemire run. We had good Greg Smallwood stuff. Of course, my personal favorite out of that is it's one of the best runs ever. It's of course I want to say his name, so I forget it. Warren Ellis. His run was spectacular, and so they're listening to what people want, and they're making it their fan response is absolutely a part of their equation. So yeah, no, they're absolutely building upon themselves. Like I said, I won't be surprised at all to find out one day they've got stuff mapped out till 2050, 2060. Oh yeah, it's not going to be a surprise at all because it's a money generator. Like you said, satanic amounts of money, which is definitely they're not the mouse is not leaving anything sitting on the table.
Right.
They're not they will make money off of everything that they possibly can. And so, yeah, sure. They're going to keep marching on. It's my personal opinion on it. So we're going to move on from there. After my month, at least, this question kind of hit me kind of hard. I lost my grandfather about 2 weeks now. And so our friend, again, this is another Bill Zanowitz question. He's a big music aficionado. He loves music of all varieties. So this comes from him. He said, if you were to unfortunately pass away today, what song would you want played at your funeral? And we'll kick it over to Jerry. You go first. Oh, okay. What is your sad song?
Well, it's not necessarily a sad song. So, for me, the biggest thing in my life is the relationships that I've created with people. Mm-hmm. And, just thinking of how they would feel in my passing and how, I would want them to carry on. So I actually picked, Baz Luhrmann's Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen. Has anybody heard this one?
I have not.
So it's, I think it was originally a theoretical college speech that somebody put up, and Baz Luhrmann got a hold of it and put it as a song. But it's basically just advice and guidelines on life. And
We could all use those.
yeah, I'll post it in our whenever you post the episode because I think everybody should listen to it.
Nice.
It's a really good song.
Yeah.
Lily.
Mine is Castle by Halsey.
Okay.
It's just kind of a like badass feminist kind of song where she's talking about, just taking over the castle and, being the queen. So it's fuck yeah.
I'm excited to hear what level of thrash is going to take place at your funeral, Matt.
Well, I gave that a lot of thought, and picking the one thrash song to play at my funeral was a mountain I just cannot climb. So I don't want anybody to leave my funeral being comfortable. Right. And I want people to be looking around at each other during. So the obvious choice is the intro music to 1978's John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yes. As we when do you want that played? Like, where does that get played as they're bringing you in, or does it just like repeat
Lowering
silently
him
in
down.
the background?
It's the whole time. Nobody talks.
Okay. Wow.
But you have to stay for the food.
There's what food do you have?
There's a buffet and there's no sneeze guard.
Oh,
Is it just mysterious meat? We don't know
all of it.
where it came from.
as the Halloween music plays in the background.
They basically just recreate a version of him out of ground beef, and everybody just eats off of that.
Sean, what are we playing at your funeral, man?
I chose a fairly ironically uplifting song called "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life" from the Monty Python film Life of Brian, when the lead character is getting crucified for being mistaken to be Jesus. So Eric Idle decides he's going to sing about always look on the bright side of life and the bright side of death, trying to cheer this man up as they're all slowly dying on the cross. And it's a beautiful song, and I want my people to attend to my funeral to at least chuckle a little bit and say Sean was fucking weird.
Well, I had a hard time with this one because I'm pretty dead set on not dying. I just don't think I'm gonna. We're gonna live forever.
Get that robot body, bro. I believe in you.
I think science is gonna give me a robot body. I've already sold my soul. I've got contingency plans in the works. So I'm just not gonna. But for my memorial, after I do the thing where Batman does and he just goes away. In that one movie that we don't talk about, before you come to England and find me eating a crumpet, I think that I want you to play a song called "In This River" by Black Label Society. Zach Wilde, more specifically, Zach wrote this song after his dear friend, brother in metal, Dimebag Darrell from Pantera, was killed on stage. They were very good friends. If you go back and look at all those Guitar World magazines, they graced the cover of many of them. They played similar style. I mean, Pantera was big at the same time that Zach was going through and playing with Ozzy, and then Black Label Society kicked in. These dudes were just friends. They weren't just like musicians who casually knew each other. They were brothers, man. And I mean, him and Vinny were tight too. They shared a mutual love of like Ace Frehley from Kiss. And I mean, as far as just virtuosity goes, they were two of the biggest names in music in their time. And so after he was killed, Zach wrote this song and sang it at his funeral. It's called "In This River." There's no going back. Eventually you fade to black. I mean, there's just it's a beautiful song. He plays it on piano. There's a number of different people who have redone the song. So up tempo, slow tempo, sad. It's just a cool song, about memory, about brotherhood, and that speaks to me. Like, that's what I hate funerals, because especially funerals where everything is just sad and people are hurting, and you don't like to see anybody hurting, period. I like to, inevitably when this does happen, I want my thing to take place 6 months afterwards. Let the world get used to me not being there for a while, because I want it to be more of just a friendly get together, a party. You sit around, you drink whiskey, you play metal, you live the 3 shades of black that we all lived, and you're just fucking hard, which is my life. Y'all know how I'm hard, right?
Totes.
I literally saw you painting a bathroom last night. So.
But I was standing on a stool, and I wasn't wearing a helmet.
Yeah, overalls with no shirt on.
Can we know who you sold your soul to?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
It was actually me.
I'm like, I want to know if we've all sold to the same person.
No,
Are we getting ripped off? You know, what's going on?
They definitely got a bargain. Which of the original set of Marvel films, when the original set of Marvel films all wrapped up, does anyone wonder how the next round will hold up in comparison? This is kind of a piggyback onto the previous question from Mr. Dean Stahl. Do you think the quality is going to rise or fall on this one? I was going to start with Matt first, but he went and hid. We'll start with you, Sean.
Well, it's inevitable. People are going to always say the originals were better. But with the way Marvel's going with like the Spider-Man franchise, even though it's still technically part of this wave, I feel like that's what we're getting to a glimpse of how the franchises are going. I think it's only going to go up, or if not better, at least equal to just as well as the better parts of this original one. But like I said, fans are fans. They're inevitably going to be like, the originals were always going to be better, even Iron Man 3.
Right.
So, yeah, I think they're going to improve.
Matt, do you think that the Marvel films are going to go up or down in quality wise? Like how do you think that's going to work out?
I think they're going to be consistent in quality. Yeah. I mean, I feel like they know what they're doing. I mean, obviously some will be better than others, but I can't think of one that I walked out of and thought, well, that was bad.
Yeah.
And I think it'll stay that way.
So I think that even this past decade of films, it's not been a straight line. Like it's not been it's had its ups and downs. I mean, Iron Man 2 does exist. I didn't particularly like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
It doesn't just go Iron Man 1 and then the Avengers.
It's not how it works. It's still there. So there's been lots of. I mean, even as great as this arc has been, there's been ups and downs, and I think you'll continue to see that. I don't think that no one's batting 1,000, right? Like there's going to be some misses, and that's fine, because even though that there are films that are not as good as others, and there has been, like I said, one or two that I walked out. I know you said you didn't walk out feeling anything. There's been one or two that I walked out and like, I could have saved that money and not watched that. But you're going to have that. Like you can't. The numbers game is against you to not have anything that's lackluster. And as you bring in new talent, new directors, new actors, it's going, like one or two are going to falter, but I think you're going to continue the upward climb. And I think they are pushing the boundaries of technology and filmmaking. We're going to see some new shit, some cool shit. We're going to see some new and cool characters, and there's a lot of stories to be told. So yeah, it's going to keep getting better. I'm just not going to turn to shit. So
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think as well. I think we've already kind of seen with some of the newer movies they've put out, like with Captain Marvel, it still is amazing and they haven't lost anything. So I don't know that they're going to really go down in quality, especially with their track record. Of course, we will have our ups and downs, of course, but I think they're still going to be pretty good. I'll still go see all of them,
right,
of course. Yeah. They will still bleed me dry with that. So,
Yeah, I'm completely dedicated to everything that they're going to put out. Yeah. I've never walked out of one of the movies saying like, well, I could have saved my money on that. Because even in the time whenever Iron Man 2, 3, Thor 2 were a thing that came out, it was still a fun experience going to see those movies and everything. And it was also a time whenever I was going with a fuck ton of people to see those movies. So if the movie itself wasn't a fun experience, getting to watch it with these people were.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, if they throw Beta Ray Bill in, that'll automatically make every single Marvel movie that much better, knowing that he's somewhere in their universe.
Never gonna get it.
We could go back and Photoshop Beta Ray Bill into Iron Man 2, and it would suddenly become the best thing. Like Trump voice, the best.
Just a little blip in the background, but it's now
a masterpiece. Retroactively getting awards.
I mean, he was in Ragnarok. That is the only thing that made that movie good, right? And possibly Guardians 1. I don't know if that skeleton counted.
Here's the glimmer of hope. He exists. Yep. They had his face chiseled into stone. We don't know what happened to him. He could come out. I think we could see him in a Guardians film.
Yeah, I think we're going to get him.
Yeah, especially with Thor going into the Guardians. I think that could very possibly happen. Matt, I have a question for you, or at least one of our listeners does. His name's JD Ketch. He writes a blog. It's called Tales from Lake House, where he reviews Marvel books that are 6 months old. You should go check that out. He asks you.
That doesn't sound like a question.
Well, I was a build-up.
Okay, gotcha.
I was leading up to it. I'm burying the lead. Who is your favorite writer? And if it's not Warren Ellis, why?
This one was tough. Picking my favorite, my number one of anything is always tough. So I really had to go with the most dependable of the writers that I lean to, and that's Garth Ennis. He's really just the most dependable as far as picking something up. Chances are I'm really, really going to dig it. He has written some of the stuff that has been the most powerful for me. But, Warren Ellis has written things that I also have enjoyed. Maybe as much as, a Garth Ennis story, but he's not as dependable. His stuff, for me personally, can be absolutely outstanding, or I didn't really care for that. But I have not really felt that way for Garth Ennis, so that's why I had to go with him.
Okay, that's respect on that, dude. So when I was thinking about this, I did the same thing. Spent a lot of time like racking my brain over this, and then I finally realized, he's asking me my favorite writer, not the person I think is the best writer. Like this isn't a judgment of quality in their craftsmanship. It's just what have I enjoyed the most. For me, it's Peter David. I think like there's a lot of names that roll through this, but being such a big fan of the Hulk. Such a big fan of X Factor, all of those guys. When I look back when I look into my collection that I own, and I look at all the stuff I still have that I'm actively seeking out at conventions, and like it's Peter David. So much of it is just Peter David. He's never going to be the writer any given year that I'm like, oh no, this was the best writer of the year, and he's never been that. There's always people that are probably writing bigger and better books than him, but over time, he just has a legacy of really consistently fun stories. And most of them, I know he's written some stuff over at DC that I haven't processed, and I need to at some point, but at least for his Marvel work, it's just, he's always somebody I can go back and read. Like I never don't want to go back and read his Hulk stuff, whether it's from the Volume 2 stuff, or from when he was writing it in Volume 1, where he was just going all over the place, giving us the Hulk who's more sentient, has like the black t-shirt, or what he builds up to be his own really good, the Fall of the Hulks, which he led into. So, that's mine. I think Peter David consistently my favorite person to read. Jer Bear.
It's, absolutely Warren Ellis. Without a doubt. He's written some of my favorite titles like Gideon Falls and Descender and Sweet Tooth, Underwater Welder, Essex County. Some of my favorite Warren Ellis stuff is... why are y'all looking at me like that? Oh shit, that's Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, that's that guy.
Oh, that's right.
Craig came out of his hole.
Craig came to give me the double thumbs up. Absolutely, 100%. Jeff, I know Craig was at his office waiting to hear me say that. Yeah. And then whenever I said Warren Ellis, he was like, what? Yeah, the guy gets like humanity more than any writer that I've ever read. He's pulled on heartstrings that I didn't even know that I had. His stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, no, like I said, I read Royal City Volume 1, the first trade, for the first time this past week, and legitimately cried at like the end of this first volume.
So
like
good.
the first volume got tears.
Yeah.
There's the one scene where like the story just like culminates, and it hits you in the chest, man. Yeah. So he's got a way.
Yeah.
Lily, speaketh unto me.
So I read comics a little differently than it seems that everyone at this table does. I tend to not pay super attention to the artist or the writer or whoever it is unless there's something that draws me to it that I'm like, I need to see who this is. So the thing that stood out to me is Harley's my girl. Always will be. Always has been. And so I kind of went with my favorite of hers, and that's Connor and Palmiotti.
Yeah.
Because I've read some of the old stuff. I've read the new stuff, with the new creative team, and it still stays with Connor and Palmiotti being my favorites. So
That's
my favorite.
And those, like, even outside of Harley, like, that team is insane.
Oh yeah.
They do amazing work. So that's a good one. Really good one. Sean, is your favorite writer Warren Ellis? And if not, tell me why.
It is not. And let me clarify, what I have read of Warren Ellis, I've enjoyed. But he's not my favorite writer. And one of my issues was he took an amazing video game franchise called Castlevania and wrote it into an amazing anime for Netflix. But it took him 6 episodes of a 6-episode season to make it Castlevania. He just took 5 episodes to brilliantly bitch about the church. On the video game, I started the main character who starts off kneeling at a cross before killing a vampire. But regardless, that's why he's not my favorite.
Okay.
My favorite is Ichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece, because there is no other author, and I love a lot of works. Well, I've read 946 of his issues.
Right.
Of a world I can't help but dive into, share, spread the love, spread the knowledge for, I don't even know how long I've been reading this damn book. So
900 something issues.
Yeah. Yeah. So I made it this, yeah, it's got to be him.
Oh, dude, he's a powerhouse. That makes perfect sense. Complete and perfect sense. This one is a fun one, and it's the last listener question we have that we have time for. We still have some in the bag. So Stephanie, don't worry, I have you locked in. We will get there. You just have to give us time. She wants us to assemble our team of 5 animal sidekicks. Now, I love puppies. Do y'all know how much I love puppies? So this question was like amazing. Like if I were in a comic book world, I would want a team of 5 animals to be my sidekicks all the time. And we wouldn't do anything. We would just stay somewhere and cuddle because I like animals so much better than people. They're great. So here's my 5. Can I start off on this one?
Yeah.
All right. Lion cat. Because I need someone to call me out on my shit. Okay. Lockheed the dragon because he's a fucking dragon.
He almost made my list.
Yeah, he's fucking. Good. I mean, hey, and maybe he comes with Kitty Pryde. Then that's she could be my friend. I like Kitty Pryde. Zabu, who is Kazar's saber-toothed tiger, because again, he's Zabu. He's a saber-toothed tiger. Why wouldn't you want a saber-toothed tiger if you can have an animal companion? Are you kidding me? We go to the Savage Land, rock and roll. You can't survive it without Zabu. I said Lockjaw because I'm tired of paying for gas. So he's
utility
just gonna, pet. He's cool. He's a bulldog. I still want to lean into the world where Lockjaw is not a inhuman dog experiment. He was an actual person that got changed into a dog and everyone forgot that. Like that's my version of Lockjaw because that's just like, he gets no respect. He got turned into a fucking pet. I hate that for him. And then last but not least, and this is one of the more contemporary animals in the comic universe, showed up just in this past year. In fact, it's Jeff the Land Shark. From West Coast Avengers. Jeff the Land Shark. He's a land shark and he's cute and he's a land shark. And his name's Jeff. How could you not? If your list doesn't have a Jeff,
amazing.
You fail. You fail at this. Sean, tell me how you failed at this.
Let me tell you how I failed. First of all, I don't know if this counts because technically he's a sentient alien, but he looks like an animal, so I threw him in anyway. That's
Beta Ray Bill?
No. Horse Thor for life. Gus from Saga.
Okay.
I got to have little Gus hanging around with his battle axe and being country and adorable as fuck. After that, I got stuff. I got people and things I care about, so I need a guard pet. So I need Thori the murder dog.
Yeah.
Watching my shit and just being awesome. After him, I'm going to need, for all my tech support issues, I need Ein from Cowboy Bebop, the cybernetically enhanced corgi that can hack computers.
Yes.
And just in case I go to the Savage Land, while a saber-toothed tiger is certainly useful, I think a velociraptor named Old Lace from the Runaways would be helping me a lot more than him.
Respect.
And finally, just for some good conversations and so everyone can wonder why a French bulldog is smoking cigars, I believe it was, I need Iggy from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes.
Who can occasionally call up his psychic manifestation of his power to fight people with me.
Okay. That's a good little 5-member team. There's a lot.
And he's named after Iggy Pop.
Your food bill is going to be high.
It is.
Would Chopper count as an animal?
I thought about that. I thought about Chopper too.
Well, Jerry, go ahead, man.
Okay, so some of these are going to sound theoretical, but
like our list is completely feasible.
Yes.
There's no way I'm taking this seriously.
No.
I've got Throg on there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Spider Gwen, which is something that I just found out. It's not Spider Gwen with 2 N's. It's 1 N, and she's a penguin.
Oh.
From Spider Ham.
Gotcha.
Yes. I've got Bandit from Ascender.
Okay.
Descender.
Was he the robot dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got Beta Ray Bill, but as an actual horse wearing a cape with a hammer in his mouth.
I call bullshit here.
No.
And then my last animal companion, because Caleb sold his soul to me, I'm going to put his soul into a dog, and he's going to be my faithful animal companion.
I'm good with that. Got to do something with it.
Is it called Caleb the drinking dog?
What kind of dog? Do I get a breed, or am I just like a rescue?
Oh man,
how's this work?
What dog would you be?
What kind of dog would I be?
Listener question next time.
Yeah. Podcasty question to the listeners: what kind of dog would Caleb be?
Okay.
What kind of dog are all of us?
Yeah, name us all. That'd be fun.
But answer the question, Jerry.
So y'all two flip a coin. Do you want to go, or does Lily want to go?
Right,
Lily,
I'll go.
I'd like our guests to go first.
Okay.
Aw, so sweet. Thanks. All right. So I would do Catwoman's cat, Isis.
Okay.
Because cats. I would want...
Because cats.
That's really the only answer cat lovers can give me to why I have a cat. They're just like, because cats.
Cats, yeah. I would want one of Mara's dolphins. Mm-hmm. So I have a sea animal. I would want Squirrel Girl's horde of squirrels. Yeah. And I'm counting that as one animal because they're collective.
Yeah. So it's a murder of squirrels.
I want Harley Quinn's beaver, Bernie. He's got like a fake eye and not much of a body, but he talks.
I don't think I actually knew that Harley Quinn had a beaver.
Yes.
Oh, you knew. You knew Harley Quinn had a beaver, Caleb.
God damn it, dude.
That actually, yeah.
No,
Yep.
Caleb didn't.
Maybe I'm missing a metaphor here. I didn't know that. No. Oh, I knew she had hyenas. I didn't know she had a beaver. That's awesome.
Yes, she does. She's murdered him many times.
Okay.
It's great. Everyone thinks she's psychotic because of it, which...
That's why?
Yeah.
That's why they think she's psychotic?
Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason. Yep. And then I would want the Penguins' giant penguins.
Okay.
It's got like 50-foot tall, beefed out penguins.
It's very H.P. Lovecraft.
That's my nightmare.
Also from the Harley books. So, yeah.
50-foot tall penguin. That's a punk band. It's got to be 50-foot tall penguin. It's a punk band. It's got to be.
It is now.
We'll be taking over the world with our horde of squirrels that are 50-foot tall penguin.
Is her squirrel friend Chitty Chit? Is that his name? I think so.
I think you're right.
Yeah, that's like.
I think you're right.
He's like the general. Like she has her squirrel
Like
horde.
that's the main one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Chitty Chit's bad fucking ass, man.
Yeah. So.
Matt, tell me of your animal companionship.
So I would have, without a doubt, the 3 dragons from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I don't want those fucking dragons.
Wait, before or after the ice
I'm like,
spear?
which...
You want a zombie dragon?
I want the 3 healthy dragons.
Okay. Is it because Khaleesi comes with them?
So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep this honest, and I'm saying I'm choosing the dragons because of dragons.
Okay.
That's what got me on that show. I was like, dragons,
Right.
So I want Joker's hyenas. They're not Harleys. They're Jokers. Thank
Okay.
you. And I'm
Debatable.
Like, ouch.
And I also had Thori on my list.
Sean ripped it from me.
Yeah, but I
You
felt
guys are going to have to get joint custody.
so if I can't have Thori because Sean already said it, I'm gonna throw a wild card in there and say I want King Shark.
Ooh.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, nobody on my list gets along.
No. At all. Was that all 5? I thought you got 4. Did you hit 5?
That's fine.
Okay. I thought you said 4. I missed one in there somewhere. Well, all right. That went exactly how I thought it was going to go.
Really?
Mine are all cuddly, and Matt's are murder creatures. Well, if you want to ask us questions, you know where you can find a way to ask us questions. Anybody have any clues? Why don't you tell them, Lily? Tell them where to come ask questions.
Ooh, okay. So you can ask on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
That's where they always are. There's Instagram. You guys have a Twitter.
Uh-huh.
And I don't follow you on Twitter, I don't think.
We're at SFG podcast.
I really don't do Twitter. I'm a bad millennial, okay?
Right,
I
that's
find
fair.
it confusing, and I don't like it. You're on YouTube, and you've got an email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of those places are where your questions can be asked. And in about another month, we are going to be covering more questions. So we need more. So send them to us. We implore you, because these were good questions. These were fun. I had to think about some of these. Some of them were just like, oh yeah, I know that answer. But some of them are like, there's a lot of options to this. I don't know. Like Jeff the Land Shark. Gotta be in there. But also, what happened to Thory? I missed him. Now I'm sad. Because he is a good murder dog. You know what next Wednesday is? Curious if you guys know.
Is it the 3rd?
I think it's the 3rd, yeah.
July
It's
3rd.
also-
The day before we celebrate our independence. That's the real answer.
It's Freedom Eve. It's also
Can we make that an official holiday?
for the Freedom Eve. It's also this is going to go off the rails. It's also New Comic Book Day. It's the one day of the week where you can go to your local comic shop or your online retailer, whichever you may prefer to buy your comics from, and you can pick up stuff that's brand new, never been published before, unless it's a reprint, and then they'll tell you. But most of it's new, and that's when some cool stuff comes out. So every week we like to give you guys suggestions because we're helpful. We're your friendly neighborhood podcast, and so here's a few suggestions of what you should go pick up. We're going to kind of set your menu for the next week, so to speak. So Matt, kick us off, brother.
You need to pick up Immortal Hulk number 20.
Yeah, you do.
We've talked about this book several times on the show. Where number 19 left off was heavy shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to see where this is going. So yeah, Immortal Hulk by Marvel, of course. Al Ewing, Joe Bennett, Paul Mounts, and Rui Jose.
Nice. All right, so I've got one throw on your menu. It's new number 1. It comes from Image Comics. It's called Sea of Stars. And this is by a writer that, hey, I've loved him for a long time. He's been kicking ass over at Marvel for a while. It's Jason Aaron, with a little help from, if I say the name Dennis Hallam, does that mean anything to you?
Hopeless Hallam?
Yeah, it's Dennis Hopeless. He has dropped his pen name, which is interesting thing for him to do. And I always wonder why when people drop their pen names and go with their real names. It's like, what happened? What changed? But it's the art by Stephen Green. And like I said, this is an Image book. I'm really curious to see what it is. I know it's going to be sci-fi. I don't know a whole lot about it. They're doing an arc. The first arc's called Lost in the Wilds of Heaven. It involves a space trucker. That's really all I know. And so I want to check it out. It's Jason Aaron writing space sci-fi.
So he's technically the artist formerly known as Hopeless Hallam.
Right. Yeah.
This actually was mine too.
Oh, was it? Nice.
It is about a father who's a trucker bring his son on one of his rides, and a space leviathan bites the truck in half, and they are stuck out there, and it becomes an odyssey. It's being compared to almost a Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki-esque kind of story, so I'm very hyped for that too.
Yeah, man. Space trucking.
Yeah.
Fist bump. Lily,
All right.
what are you picking up this week?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer number 6.
All right.
So shit's going down in the Hellmouth. Yeah.
That's
As a dude.
There you go.
Say that at least once a week.
Xander's been attacked. Drusilla and Spike are there causing up some shit.
Yeah,
and
like they do.
Yeah, it's from Boom, and it's Jordi Belair, Dan Mora, and Mark Aspinall.
Good job. Jordi Beller's hot. Like as far as a writer goes, she's the hotness. Are you reading Redlands? Mm-hmm. So if you dig that book, go check out her book Redlands too, because it's a horror book, and it's like South Florida gators and fun stuff.
Okay.
Jer Bear.
So, you guys know that I fucking loved the Doom Patrol series that just came out, and I've really felt myself wanting more. Well, this week, Gerard Way is going to be back with a new run of Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol, The Weight of the Worlds. It's going to have Jeremy Lambert, James Harvey, and Nick Darrington. I actually have not finished the last run that he did because of their weird release dates and stuff like that. But the Doom Patrol facing off against the fanatical fitness fiends of Planet Orbius and the Marathon Eternal. Meanwhile, Cliff Still, formerly known as Robot Man, must come to terms with his new body of flesh and bone. Yet the real test turns out to be something far more frightening, his mom. So it sounds like it's going to be a great, weird journey, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, you enjoy the weird, wacky stories like that. So I knew when I saw him coming back that you were going to be on this book. I hope they don't have the same scheduling problems.
I know.
So, did you ever read the Milkman Wars? Did you get that far?
No. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I finished the first story arc just because of their weird issues. I'm going to have to pick it all up in trade paperback, though.
Yeah, I need to. Steve Orlando helped out with the Milkman Wars, and I want to check that out.
Look good.
So, we're ready to bring this thing home? We done for the day? Our bolt is shot, so to speak? Everybody good with that? All right. Well, folks, we've already told you a number of times where to come find us. So go to those places. We're at SFG Podcast. We're on the Twitters and the Instagrams. We have our email. We're southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. We're on YouTube, but I don't read YouTube comments. So that's a thing. And,
it's probably for the best.
Facebook page is on. I mean, look, we did a feat, like, a Herculean feat is we got Matt Trogdon on Facebook. That was the thing that they said couldn't be done.
That's who he sold his soul to.
But he won't accept my friend request.
No, he's not accepting anything.
Yeah,
he exists in his own little limbo, but it's a feat, and he's there. So if you have any Matt questions, you can send them, and the faceless Matt avatar will give you answers. It's great. It's like he's hovering over us, watching us as we exist, and that's wonderful. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. These listener questions were really fun. Send us more. We enjoy this. We'll be back next week with Comic Talk, where we run through some books that we all know and love that we read, and we'll tell you about another book that we really liked. If you're in the Central Arkansas area, I got something that you need to mark your calendars for. You should mark your calendars for July 20th, round about 5 o'clock. Because that is the time that we are going to be hosting a live show from Kapow Comics. We are going to be getting out and kind of doing a halftime show to tell everybody. So you know how lots of podcasts, ourselves included, they do the end of the year shows and want to tell you like what the best of 2018 or 2019, whatever it was. Why wait? Why wait till December to find out what you should and could be reading now? So we're going to be delivering our patented Southern Fried Geekery halftime report, hopefully live in front of an audience. If not in front of an audience, just ourselves in a room with chairs because no one showed up. So, but we don't want that. We want you to come and hang out with us. There might be pizza. There might be drinks. There's definitely a liquor store in the parking lot. I'm not going to tell you not to go buy booze and drink it out there. But come see us. Come hang out with us. If nothing further, we appreciate you. We love you. And go forth and read some comics.